What's up, everybody? Azariel, YuGiOh 101 discussion video. We're going to talk about rulings in this video. Rulings, the essential backbone of pretty much any trading card game, or pretty much any competition in general. The rules, what you have to follow in order to play this game properly. On top of the fact that you have to read, that you need reading comprehension, all of that just falls into this one word called understanding. And in this video, we're going to be talking about rulings. Originally I was going to make this a YuGiOh 101 tips video, but I feel like this is more leaning towards a discussion than it is, a tips video. Besides, I think I already did a tips video before. I didn't check, but I don't think I did. But who knows? Like, I do a lot of videos, so who really knows? So anyway, rulings. As I mentioned before, they are the backbone of this game. They tell you what to activate, when to activate it, or if you're in a certain situation that you don't see yourself in every day, it lets you know, okay, when this card goes up against this card, this still happens, or this doesn't happen for this reason. But just by reading the cards and using common sense, which these days it seems that more and more people are not doing that, they either try to convince the other guy that they are right and just try to get some random BS to happen, or they just ignore the rules altogether and just say, hey, forget it, I'm right, you're wrong, this is how it goes, without them even looking at how this is supposed to work. And then you have other people in this game that they just want to get away with anything they can possibly get away with. I mean, anything they can possibly get away with, literally. Say, for example, not every card in YuGiOh has a ruling for it. That's because the card description is already self-explanatory as to what needs to happen when this card is activated. Do you need to pay this amount of life points? Does this happen if a card negates or destroys this card? Does this still go through? Not every card has rulings, because not every card needs rulings. But then you have some people in this game that are so dependent on being breastfed by a card having a ruling letting you know how to use it, that when a card doesn't have a ruling and it's so obvious just from reading the card what you need to do, or how you should play this card, they just simply just ignore it. Like, I kind of compare it to somebody in like math class that are so dependent on a calculator, other than them trying to figure out, like how to work out the problem themselves, or like a math problem themselves. That may be like an odd comparison, but hopefully you still understand where I'm coming from. You have some people that are just so dependent on this one convenience that they never try to, be independent and just use common sense for themselves. You know what I'm saying? Now, some people can't use common sense. Some people can. They just choose not to. And here's a good example of that. When there aren't any rulings for certain cards, then people will just try to make up something, that makes sense only to them, and then a bunch of people will just accept it, and that just fucks the game up. Perfect example of what I'm talking about. When Tour Guide first came out, and the first wave of Exceed monsters came out, what was the popular combo? What was the most popular combo, and I mean the most popular combo going on at that time? You summon Tour Guide, special summon Sangan from the main deck, Exceed summon with Tour Guide and Sangan into Leviathan Dragon, activate Leviathan Dragon's effect, by detaching one of the exceed materials from it, you can increase its attack by 500, making it 2500 right then and there, and then you will get a search with Sangan. Now, the people that I was facing when this little fiasco was going on, they hated my guts because I would not allow them to do such a thing. You know, because Sangan clearly states that it has to leave the field and hit the graveyard. Once it leaves the field, then it has to hit the graveyard in order for its effect to activate, in order for you to get the search for a monster with 1500 attack or less. You know, explain to me that when the first wave of exceeds came out, it was clearly stated that exceed materials aren't considered to be on the field. So you would have, so when a card like Sangan gets detached from an exceed monster in order to activate one of their effects, you would have to treat it as it got sent from anywhere else, like maybe the main deck or your hand. You know, it has to, Sangan clearly states it has to leave the field, then go to the graveyard in order for you to get that search. So if exceed materials aren't considered to be on the field, and you detach Sangan from an exceed material and it hits the field, hits the graveyard, then how the hell do you get the search? That made no sense to me. And that goes along the lines of common sense. Hold on, I got a call. What's the phone right here? Oh, there ain't nobody. But yeah, it just didn't make any sense. That goes back to using common sense. Just read the damn card and use some reading comprehension and understand what it is you're reading. Don't just skim over it and be like, oh, this happens and then this happens. No, pay attention to what you're playing. Because as I mentioned in recent videos, you still got people that are misusing Solemn Warning. And Solemn Warning couldn't be any clearer on how the effect works. You can negate a normal summon, or the activation of a monster effect, trap card, or spell card that has the effect to special summon a monster. For example, cards like Emergency Teleport, Polymerization, the Call of the Haunted, Monster Reborn, Soul Resurrection, I believe that's the name of that card, Birthright, you know, etc. Any monster, spell, or trap card that has the effect of special summoning, you can negate it. Even if that special summon doesn't happen right then and there, like with cards like Future Fusion. At the time, you know, it wasn't banned. You could chain Solemn Warning to Future Fusion, even though the special summon would happen later on in the turn. You know, later on in the turns, it still had an effect that special summon, so you can negate it with Solemn Warning. You can't activate Solemn Warning to a card like Luminize. You can't activate it against a card that, well, you know, cards like Mountain or Wasteland. You know, you can't activate it in response to that, because those cards don't have the effect of special summoning anything. But I've been told off by plenty of people, and they got mad at me. Oh, Solemn Warning can negate anything. It can negate any trap. It can negate any spell. It can negate any monster effect. Have you read the damn card? Same thing with that tour guide Sangan fiasco. And people getting mad at me because I wouldn't let them get the search, or, you know, I would literally try to tell them right and try to explain it to them that you can't get this search, and then their only response, like 90% of the people, literally, like 90 to 92% of the people said something along the lines of, well, you know, there's no ruling for it, so, you know, I'm gonna just do this anyway. So just because there's no ruling for it, and even though the card clearly states how it's supposed to work, you're just going to activate it like this anyway, even though there's no ruling for it. You know, like, I'm just going to, you know, ignore what the card says, and I'm going to just play this how I want to play it. Stupid people. But the main point of this video is to just, when you know better and when you absolutely know better, don't let nobody bully you in this game. Seriously, when you know better, when you know how to play this game, and you know how these cards are supposed to work. For example, with cards like Call It a Haunted, it states that when a monster gets destroyed, that card gets destroyed. Same thing with Brain Hazard, or any other type of spell or trap that brings a monster back from either the remove from play zone or the banish zone, as they're calling it now, or the graveyard. Most of those cards clearly state that the monster has to be destroyed. Either this card gets destroyed and then the monster gets destroyed, or the monster has to be destroyed and then this card will be destroyed. If the monster is just banished, say from the effect of cards like Dimensional Prison, or like a Dark Core, there's people in this game that honestly believe that if a monster is banished with card effects like Dimensional Prison, that the monster is still considered to be destroyed, even though the card doesn't state it. Just a little while ago, I was on Dueling Network and somebody actually had told me that. I laughed because it was laughable, and I got a kick out of it. It never ceases to amaze me that people don't understand this game, but yet they're going to consider themselves to be so, up here and everybody else is beneath them. Understand the game, know the rulings, so that you don't look like one of these idiots. It's game mechanics, card rulings, and a lot more to this game than just summoning a monster and attacking, and then activating like a trap card or a spell card, and that's it. You read, use reading comprehension, know the rulings, and all that together becomes one uniformed word, and that's understanding. Understand the game. It's not that difficult to read. So also, it's not that difficult to use common sense. It's not hard whatsoever. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. So tell me, like, have you guys ever ran into anybody like this on any website or at your local matches or whatever? Talk to me. So that's gonna be it for this Yu-Gi-Oh 101 discussion video, and I'll see you guys for more. Peace.